Welcome to the Kayla Ambrose Show. I'm your host, Kayla Ambrose, back here today on a podcast talking about journey bracelets. If you are just seeing this for the first time, go check out a couple podcasts back where you'll see one called Journey Podcast and another one called Dragon Dance. So, we're going to be talking about lots of bracelets and the journey bracelets and what they do. And I'm back here again with my best friend, Niki Case. Niki!
Woo!
Woo!
I don't even know how to respond to that magnificent introduction. But yes, I'm so happy to be back again here on the Kala Ambrose Show. Long time listener, first time caller.
That's awesome. So, gosh, let's see. Nikki's a longtime mystery school student. She's a lover of the metaphysical and spiritual things. She's a ginormous crystal lover. She's
I
a geologist with a master's degree in hydroponification.
That is exactly what it is.
Yeah.
So impressive you remembered that.
I know it has soap and hydro.
Okay. Yes, it does. Yes. So I earned my master's degree. I mean, it's in geology. My focus was on something called contaminant hydrogeology, which the soap part basically comes in where the work that I did in graduate school had to do with developing these compounds that you put into the earth, into the subsurface to clean up chemicals that had been spilled. And the simplest way to describe them is that they were very similar to soap. They work in a very, very similar fashion to soap. So that's where you're getting the soap thing from. But yeah, so that's what I focused on. I want to hear you say that again, though.
What you're saying, obviously, is that I nailed it. So
You nailed it for
perfect.
sure.
She's also been a science teacher. She's worked for the government. She's worked in the private sector. And she's a yoga teacher. So she's all the things and a Libra on top of it. So what else do you need? We knew we had to be best friends. We found out we both had Scorpio in our chart in the same spot. And we were like, well, that cements it. We know who we are from past lives. We know what we're here to do. We have to be friends. It's destiny.
It is, and it's like history in the making. You know, it was like this amazing sort of beautiful explosion of melding souls when we met, and it's been amazing ever since.
And one of the first things we ever did together, actually, I started a women's group, right? And we met and we made bracelets.
We did. You know what's really funny is until this very moment, 'cause as soon as you said that, I knew exactly what you were going to say. I had totally forgotten about that. Because it's just such, I mean, it probably sounds similar to people who don't know the difference between what we were doing then versus what we're doing now. But it's just such a departure. Like, to me, they're so totally different, but they're not. But it's just funny. Like, I had completely forgotten about that. In my defense, that was more than 20 years ago. And, I'm an air sign. I don't always retain all the information and all the things.
Right. So we were 7 at the time.
Yeah,
So,
thank you. Thank
yeah.
you.
So we don't remember everything from 7.
Yes, that's exactly right.
So yeah, so
Thank you for clarifying.
that was the universe giving us a hint of how we would come full circle. Making bracelets.
I love it. Yes.
There we go. So thank you all for joining us here today. Hopefully you're going to have a laugh with us and enjoy our crazy talk. This is how we talk all day, every day to each other. Whether it's text, phone, whatever, it just rambles from one thing to the next. So we're just letting you in behind the scenes to hear how 2 crazy girls decided to take on the world and make journey bracelets to make the world a better place.
Exactly. And by the way, I still think we should publish a book of all of our voice to text messages and how our phones completely change what it is that we're saying. And in fact, one of the funniest ones has to do with one of the topics that we're going to be talking about today that never comes across correctly in our voice to text, which is pretty funny.
It does, because today we're going to talk about beach armor. And whenever we text it, either one of us, it always comes out as beach armor.
Gotta wear that armor to the beach.
Maybe it's protective. Maybe it's protective. Maybe that's its nickname. Who knows? We don't know.
Maybe, yes.
So, thinking back with our journey here with Journey Bracelets, when we first decided, oh my gosh, we're going to do this, right? We set up our business, Lavish Goods. We decided we're going to make these Journey Bracelets so that people all over the world could have these bracelets to empower them and help them manifest, help them feel connected. We wanted to make a tribe of people that would recognize each other with their Journey Bracelets and give each other a nod like, hey, yeah, I'm on a journey too, right? It's all a journey. And so we came up with this whole concept and how we would write the formulas and write the stories and all the things so people could go on a journey. And I remember the first 3 bracelets we made in order. The first one was Golden Phoenix. And
Yes.
then the second one was Releasing Grief. And the third one was Beach Armor. And we were looking at these bracelets going, how do we feel about them? Do we like them? We know they work. We feel the energy. But are they pretty? Because we're like, it's not just about working. It needs to be at least enough aesthetically pleasing to someone to want to wear it, right? And we were looking at it. And so we're like, what do we think? And I looked at you and I said, Beach Armor is going to be the first bracelet we ever sell.
Yes, you did. You said it very clearly.
And that was your design. And you put it together and I was like, look at that little Libra putting her heart and her soul and all her beauty into making this gorgeous bracelet. And I just love seeing it come to life. And writing the story for it was so fun too, because the whole story of bees and what they do. And tell us about Beach Armor.
Yeah, it's so, and I remember that day so clearly. I can see it and feel it perfectly in my mind's eye. And that was just, I think, for me at least, it was like the first, it certainly wasn't the first time that I felt something magical happening with us, but with that was one of the first days where we were seeing what we could do and really, tapping into that energy and into our own intuition and being divinely guided to what we were going to be creating. And I just, I knew that day something really special was happening. And yeah, so Beach Armor for me was just, it was one of those moments, and this might sound crazy to some people, I know it doesn't to you, but it was as though I was truly being guided as to what I should be picking to put that staff together. It was almost like it wasn't even a conscious thing, which sounds weird, but that's just how it was. And what I was drawn to with this was the colors first for me, and it's hard to describe that because that sounds like it's an aesthetic thing, but it's not. It was the energy of that golden yellow and the white, and then there's some gray in there, and just those colors all together were just pulling me in. And one of the things, I know we haven't really talked much about the meaning behind the journey of Beach Armor, but one of the things that I love about this is one of the common themes with this particular journey is sort of being able to see things on the other side, and information going to and from your higher self. And I like to use the word seeing, and you can't see me, but I'm doing air quotes. We're seeing things, but not necessarily with our eyes. And what I love about that is several of the stones that we use in this particular journey have to do with seeing, again, using air quotes. Let me give you an example so it's clear. Calcite is a crystal that has something called double refraction. And if you've ever seen a clear piece of calcite, if it's in a cube form, it basically just looks like a little box, if you set that on top of words, it actually refracts it so you see double of everything. So it has this optical sort of component to it. And then there's 2 types of tiger's eye in this particular journey. One is a honey tiger's eye, the other one's a honey blue. And tiger's eye is a type of a mineral called chatoyant, and that comes from the French chat, and C-H-A-T is French for cat. So chatoyant is a French term that means like shining like a cat's eye. So like when you see the mineral like cat's eye, that's a chatoyant crystal. Well, tiger's eye are also chatoyant. So again, it comes to this sight, this seeing eyes and things like that. So it's got this beautiful symbolism of all these things with, quote, seeing, and that's part of this whole journey with this bracelet, is sort of being able to see to the other side and seeing things clearly.
Absolutely. And then when we were looking at the stones, there was so much honey in those two that we were like, oh, honeybee. And you were like, I've got the name, Bee Charmer. And I was like, yes, that's perfect. And so when I was doing my research with bees, that's when I saw that since ancient times, bees have always said to have been like animals that can send messages from the earth to the higher planes. And Napoleon used the bee as a symbol. Ancient Egyptians used the bees. You see them in all these ancient cultures. They revered the bees for that. And so it said if you whisper to a bee and a message you want to go the other side, that the bee will transport that message and send it. And so that's the then energy that we infused into this bracelet, making that, we both, Niki and I both have studied Reiki, and we're, infusing energy that way into the bracelets, and we charge them up. And so we're infusing, when we write the story, those manifestations, I guess we'll call them, will come to be. So as you touch your bee charmer bracelet and you're touching the beads and you're thinking about what you wish you could deliver to your higher self, to someone on the other side, to spirit guides, to whatever you call God, the universe, any of the things that you would like your thoughts to be heard, that it would be delivered. So as you touch these beads, especially the two that are the honey tiger's eye and honey blue tiger's eye, it's going to create a magnetic connection and help send that energy up through the higher realms. And so that's your journey, right? That your prayers and thoughts.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, just that your prayers and thoughts are heard.
Yeah, I love that. And this is another great example. Like the whole idea with the journey bracelets is that it's not just the particular crystals that we pick, right? It's the combination of them. And this is another great example of how these different stones work so well together, how they sort of empower each other so that they're magnifying each other's energetic properties.
Absolutely. So, and then when I'm looking at it, Niki has this, she's a scientist, she's a geologist, she knows everything about the crystals and gemstones like that, which I love. And I like to stump her sometimes and say, name this crystal, and find an obscure one. So, just to keep her on her toes. But I come from the standpoint of being a psychic and someone who sees auras. And so I can feel the energy in the bracelets. I can see the energy, not just of the colors, but of the bracelets themselves, what they do. And the yellow calcite to me is what is so important in this bracelet as well, because it brings clarity. And it's one thing to think you want something or think about asking for something, but if you don't have clarity and wisdom, you're not really going to maybe get the result that you want. And so I think it's really important that we added that yellow calcite in here to really do that and to give us that wisdom to know what to ask for in the first place. Yellow gives a lot of clear thinking and discernment in that way, since it's connected with that yellow chakra.
Absolutely, yeah. I love how that the colors of the different stones tie in with with our different chakras as well, and help emphasize that aspect of the journey for sure.
Every stone in this bracelet does that. The snow quartz as well, right? I love the name snow quartz and how the microscopic little elements there are kind of frozen in the quartz, right? That's those drops of water that essentially. How does that work, Nick? How did they get frozen like that?
Well, so I mean, they're not. It's not frozen in the sense of like the word frozen that we think of, like 0 degrees Celsius, 32 degrees Fahrenheit, below that. Frozen in the sense of like they're encapsulated, microscopic drops of water are encapsulated within the crystalline structure of the quartz. So it's not frozen like, oh, it's cold. It's frozen like it's stuck there, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's so
It's,
cool. It's so cool. Like, because quartz to me, I always think of light when I think of quartz, just the way it does with light. And so to have light and water, blended like that and stuck, whatever, stuck's, I don't like the word stuck, right? I'll say frozen, but like
right.
together in a stasis, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like you stop time and they're frozen together in this beautifully suspended moment. And so that's what that crystal's there to do.
Absolutely. And I think that is beautiful, and I love exactly how you said that. And it's such an unusual situation to have that, where we've got the microscopic water in there. Again, it's frozen, for lack of a better way to describe it. And it does just, it makes that particular bracelet within the stack just so special and so beautiful too. It's just sort of this. I mean, it looks like snow, right? It's this frosty white crystal that just adds, especially just that white. It just adds something to the journey.
Yep. It's great.
I also like, with the honey blue tiger's eye, kind of coming back to the idea with the different colors and different chakras. I also appreciate the fact that there is so it's a honey blue tiger's eye, and it's not to be confused with just a straight blue tiger's eye, because there is tiger's eye that's just blue. But so this one's kind of a mixture of the yellow honey tiger's eye and the full blue. So it's a kind of a combination. But having that little bit of blue in there, I always think of blue with our throat chakra and communication, which again, I think that just fits in perfectly with this journey, because it's like we're looking at, communicating with the other side, with our higher self, and being able to send and receive that communication. So that blue within that is going to help with that throat chakra.
I like to, when we get messages from the other side, we say out of the blue, it just came. And so I think it's infusing that little bit of, this is a message from above, out of the blue, out of that frequency, that light frequency, to be able to be received. So
I love that.
There's a lot of magic going on in this bracelet. And what about the cuff? So we have we talked about Dragon Dance having the little bars. What do you think about the cuff in this one?
So the cuff that we have here, it's an onyx geode. So an onyx is just a type of a rock. And if you're not familiar with geodes, basically they form typically on the inside of a rock. You oftentimes don't know what's on the inside of these, and you can actually buy geodes, like unopened geodes, online, and you can crack them open with a rock hammer, and you can find these beautiful, beautiful geodes inside, just all these beautiful crystals and things. So this cuff has, like, we call it a slice. It's like a slice of the rock that's been built into this bracelet, and I love that we use the gray here, and you describe it so well in sort of the story of this journey, where that gray is the color between the worlds, right? Again, this is all about communicating with the other side, and so we're here on this earth plane and being able to communicate with the other side, and gray, that color is very representative of that. And geodes are also an ancient symbol of the divine feminine, which I think is really beautiful. And I just, anytime we can sort of empower that divine feminine energy in any of our journeys, I really appreciate when we're able to do that as well.
I think so too. I think these 3 bracelets will probably be ones we'll keep in our collection for a long time.
I hope so. I mean, like you said, Beach Armor's kind of my baby in that regard. I mean, I know Kayla and I work together on these, but I always sort of feel like I'm not as creative in that regard. So for me, creating this one, I was just like, oh, look what I did. And so even if we don't keep it forever, this one will always forever be in my heart for sure, because I really do love it.
It's just a good journey that can be for anything. It's, it doesn't have a intense specific purpose like, career or love or what, all the things. It's just to connect with your higher self. So for whatever reason you want it to be. So it's great because it can be used by anyone to do that for any reason, really. So that's why I think it's such a good, hardworking bracelet like that.
Yeah, I agree. It's sort of an all-around journey bracelet because, as you said, like it really can be used for whatever it is that you're looking to create or generate in your life. You're just looking to the other side for guidance with that. Yeah.
What do you think about bees? Knowing what we learned about bees.
I mean, I've always loved bees and have, it's a symbol. Well, whether it's about a symbol like a charm or a picture or something like that, or literal bees, I've always had an affinity toward them, and so I find it really interesting that we have now created this because it is, they are a creature that I have felt present in my life. I remember, even if you remember when I lived in that big old farmhouse out in the country, I don't know if you remember this, but there was actually a time where we found some bees in the wall, and there were like hives in the walls in one of the, like, that very front parlor room.
Yeah.
And I wonder now, I'm like, I wonder what that was about, because I certainly don't, that happened for a reason. I'm not sure what it was, what was trying to be communicated to me at that time, but it's something for me to ponder at this point.
Absolutely, with the bees. Yeah, that was amazing. You had a lot of nature going on in that house.
Yeah, that house had a lot going on in and of itself, yes.
It really did. And I mean, that's, we talk about that. I do interior design and talk about your sanctuary, your home, and what you're creating with it. And the bracelet is the same way. It's something for you to wear to create that energy field around you. It's good to have for so many reasons like that. And I wanted to talk. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say I agree with what you're saying there, and I also, the other thing that I really love about them is that tactile and that visual reminder of the journey that we're on. And we talked in the last podcast about being able to hear it, and I love feeling it, and it catches my eye as I'm moving throughout the day, and it's that sort of in your face but still gentle reminder of the journey that you're working on, that you sort of keeping your eye on the prize of whatever it is that you're trying to get to.
It sure is. It really is a good reminder. We talked about a little bit here in each podcast, about the bracelets and the things with it. One thing we haven't really talked about yet is the selenite tower, the mini selenite tower that comes with each bracelet. So to me, selenite, I call it liquid light. It looks like the moon is liquid, and I stuck my hand up and I pulled down a drop of the moon. And that's how selenite shines to me. I think it's such a beautiful stone. What is it about selenite, Nick, and why do we use it?
Well, selenite is, I mean, even just like what you described, when you look at it, it just has this sort of purity about it. It's this beautiful, white, translucent crystal it will, well, I was going to say it transmits light. It doesn't transmit it like electrically, but like if you shine light in it, light will come out of it. And it's an incredibly calming and soothing mineral. And you and I use it a lot, and we, pass that on to our customers. With one of the most incredible properties of selenite is that it's protective, and it helps clear out old, stagnant energy that can accumulate, whether that's in a space like that you live in, whether it's on your body or other crystals. And so we can use that selenite to, if you're wearing your journey, or really any bracelet or any jewelry, it's going to collect energy. and just as we're moving about our lives and we're working through things, and that selenite can help clear out some of that energy as you're moving along, and it really just is very purifying, very soothing, very calming, kind of an energy with it.
Some people have asked me, do they put the mini tower to set it on their dresser and then lay the bracelets around the tower? Others have said, do you lay it on top of? Do you, rub it around it? What would you say is the best way to recharge?
Well, first I would say don't rub it around it. Selenite is a very, I'm using air quotes, soft crystal. Soft, I'm going to be scientist here for a moment. We have something called the Mohs hardness scale. It's a scale from 1 to 10. 10 being a diamond, there's nothing harder than it. And 1 being something like talc that you can, it can crumble in your hands into a powder. So selenite is pretty soft. It's like a 2. You can scratch it with your fingernail. So you don't want to rub things on selenite that might scratch it. I mean, you can, but it's going to leave a scratch. So what I recommend people do, I personally feel like I do want my crystals or my bracelets to touch the selenite. If you had a really big chunk, like, I have a really big piece of selenite, I feel I can put crystals around that, and that's pretty effective because it's very big. It's got a bigger energetic field, so it can sort of emanate a little farther. If you have a smaller piece, I'm going to use that. I'm going to touch my crystals or touch my bracelets. So I would take my bracelets and put them around the tower. Like just have the tower just sort of sitting on my nightstand or my dresser, and then I take the bracelets off because I don't recommend wearing them at night because they could get stuck or tangled on things. You don't want them tangled in your hair, your PJs or anything. And then just put them around selenite, and so it's kind of like almost like a hula hoops around your little tower there, and that's going to be really effective in clearing them.
Absolutely. So with every purchase of a journey bracelet, your bracelet comes in a beautiful kind of suede, velvety, not real velvet, but soft suede velvety bag that's tied together inside. And it'll also have a mini selenite tower inside so that you can charge. We also sell on our website. If you go look under moments, we have some other selenite pieces. We have bigger towers. We have round plates. We have some in the shape of a moon, a crescent moon, if you wanted something larger to lay your bracelets on. But you get a mini tower with every purchase. And every little bit helps. Free shipping on every order. So, whenever you... I think, to me it was, this is one of those things, I'm going to go business for a second. One of the things that Kayla and I talked about, we wanted to offer free shipping because we just, sometimes you might see something that you really love and then it's like $20 in shipping. Oh, I don't want to do it. Like now you're going to second guess it. Like, do I really need that badly? And so we just, we really want people who want these journeys to be able to have them and to not have that be a concern. And we ship USPS priority mail, so you typically, from the time we ship it to when you receive it, is usually 2 to 3 days, depending a little bit on where you are. But you usually get things pretty quickly. And as Kayla said, you get that beautiful little selenite tower, and which I think is important because you want to cleanse those crystals every once in a while. And like I said, you can use it with if you have your own crystals at home, you can use it for those or your other pieces of jewelry or whatever you want. Absolutely. And time flies, like always. We're at the end of another show. Our company is Lavish Goods, and these are journey bracelets. And the little tagline for Lavish Goods is charmingly intuitive. And we're wishing you all the chance to ABC. And in this case, it means always be charming.
I love it. That's beautiful. I love it.
That's our wish for you all today. Thanks for listening. Please like our podcast, share it with friends. Come join us on our Facebook and Instagram and our Facebook group. Come to the website. Come chat in the group with us if you like. And come back next week and listen to another episode. Nick, as always, I will see you in the Crystal Garden Room.
I will see you in the Crystal Garden Room. I can't wait.